Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, I have my colleague and very, very dear friend, Patty Post, joining me as we're going to talk about human design and all the sort of basics around human design and kind of what it does, what it's there for, and just really take it from there. Keep it really relaxed. So, welcome, Patty.
Thank you so much. Always such a pleasure to spend time with you in whatever way. So thank you for inviting me. I love it.
Oh, good. I love having you here. I'm really, really grateful. And Patty's in the Netherlands, and you live in this beautiful, beautiful area that you moved to quite recent. Was it recently, or was it about a year
Yeah,
ago?
it's just over a year ago, and here I am in my little cabin in the woods. Yeah, everybody can really see it. Oh yeah, I'm living in a wooden house, which I love. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Right. Okay. So tell me. I feel like I'm on this dating show, and I said, "Tell me who you are and what you do and what you're here for."
Yeah.
So tell
Yeah,
tell me.
I came in
Tell
with
me.
a white rose, Hello. Yeah. So I'm Patty, and like you said, I live in the Netherlands, and in the past over 7 years already, 7.5 years, I think, I've been running my own business, own coaching practice, and I have been using astrology quite a bit in my coaching. I merely coach entrepreneurs and leaders in the corporates. I used to use only astrology, but these days this has completely been overtaken by human design because that is something that really fascinates me. And yeah, I call myself a leadership guide, a personal leadership guide, really helping people take leadership of themselves and their own lives and their careers, whatever they are, because that is how we mostly express ourselves. Usually it is in our work, the thing we do in the world. So that is what I do. And I absolutely love all my clients because they're all gorgeous people. And I love exploring with them what their genius is, and especially also what they are not. But that we will get into that later on. So yeah.
Fabulous, fabulous. And I've known you for quite a few years.
Yes, I actually don't
Uh,
remember. Maybe 4 or 5 years already.
I think
Yes.
it's more than that. I think
Yeah,
it's
it could
more
be.
than, yeah, I'll have to go back and have a look at my diary and see where that fateful that fateful day is. And Patty and I become extremely good friends as a result of working together over the years, and she's helped me enormously um, through her incredible knowledge. So tell me what human design is for those that have never come across human design before. I mean, I heard of it years ago, years and years ago. I heard of it, and I thought, well, what is that? And I thought, I'm not sure. And I wish I knew then what I know now about it because it would have helped me so much. So tell me, for those that aren't, clear about what human design is, what
Yes.
is it?
Yeah. Yeah, basically what human design is, and it is actually quite fascinating when you and I have become really good friends, and of course we mostly see and meet each other like online because I'm in the Netherlands, you are in the UK, so that already is like a signpost of the new era where we can actually become really, really close, even if we are not in each other's physical vicinity. And of course we have met in person, but that is already quite an interesting aspect of our current era, and that's also where human design fits in because human design really is a tool that helps you to find out who you truly are and what your true life's path is, and it's so much more beyond just a vague description of, oh, this is who you are and this is what you're supposed to do in this world. It really is, they call it the science of differentiation, meaning that we are all different. We are all unique. Not one design, human design, is
Wow.
equal to the other. And even if they look very closely, they in on the surface they look similar, in the deeper layers of the system, actually, you see differences. So we are all unique. And we actually are all brought up in a world that asks us to be all the same.
Yeah.
So it's the founder of this system said it's a homogenized world. We're all well, not only invited but actually forced into being a certain way. And human design is a synthesis. It really is a synthesis of different systems. So it uses an astrology component. It uses your, what I always call, your time and place of arrival in this world, because that makes up your genetic imprint. It's like a blueprint of who you are when you arrived in this world. It uses the chakra system. It uses parts of the Kabbalah. You can
Mm.
actually see the wonderful aspects in the actual chart. It is also the I Ching, which is a fabulous old Chinese system, which is it's like almost magic if you see how that coincides, for instance, with genetics and our DNA. That's just absolutely fabulous. And it also contains an actually a quantum physics component at the time that the system came to us and actually was introduced. There was already in the system implied a quantum physical aspect, which was only proved years later, which makes it so fascinating. So it really is a synthesis, and this makes it really interesting for me, and also a big wormhole, because even if you have heard of human design, there's so many aspects to it. It's quite a wormhole. It's a can of worms. If you open it, there's so much to it. So, but basically, what it's meant for is to free yourself. It's a tool to be free, free to be who you are, and to be. And to not be who you are not. And
Yeah.
so that for me is even the most important and most interesting, fascinating aspect, that you don't have to be who you are not, which sounds really, oh yeah, of course, but to really see who you are not, and then relaxing into the fact this is not who I am supposed to be, that really makes a huge shift. That really, causes a huge shift in people.
I think it really, I think that's a very valuable point because I know from you doing mine, I just had all these questions answered. So that's why I am like I am. So in fact, there's nothing wrong with me in this particular aspect because I was designed that particular way. And I think because of society's conditioning, we automatically seem to think that, well, I'm not fitting into the norm sometimes. I mean, I don't want to fit into the norm, and I'm really happy about that. But it's that I don't. But I think that conditioning is very deep ancestrally, and in this lifetime when we come in, that we're expected to behave a certain way. We're expected to get a good education with good marks. We're expected to behave or conform a certain way, and for some of us that have found it very difficult to go through that these mainstream boxes of people expect you to do this, behave this way, do that. And for me, that's been very difficult in life. And I know for many of us, it has been. Then the thing about human design that I found is that it just answers so many questions why I didn't fit in, why I was maybe rebelling, why I was coming from a different perspective all the time. And just having that knowledge alone is empowering and freeing because it's almost like you can sit back and say,
Yeah.
oh, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm okay as I am. You cannot underestimate that um, information, if you like, that knowledge
Yeah.
that is just your unique blueprint
Yeah.
there. I mean, when was it downloaded, the whole human design format, if you like? When was it? When did it come into this world exactly?
Yeah, it was in the 80s, and now forgive me, it's 85 or 87. So it's been here for quite a while.
Yeah,
And yes, what you say is so interesting. We are all being conditioned, and yes, this sitting back, like the first and foremost result of working with human design is that people, including myself, actually calm down.
yeah,
And and if there was something that I was looking for is calming down. And I remember when I first came to human design, after being into astrology and studying astrology and psychology for such a long time, I saw the first human design and the first pieces of information I learned about my design. I'm like, I'm not sure. I don't recognize it. So I kind of almost dismissed it. And then I let it sink in. And I'm like, oh God, I could see how much I was actually conditioned by the world, by the people around me. And then I started, that was like a confrontation with myself. I'm like, oh my God, the not recognizing was actually, yeah, what we say in human design, the not self. And oh my goodness, I have relaxed so much more knowing this knowledge and deepening this knowledge. So that would be like the common effect of working with human design, is that people start to calm down because, as you said, they can relax into being them and relax in not being who they not are. So
yeah.
yeah.
But I think that's the message that is forced upon us all in the world, is that, you must be this, you must do this exam system, this education system, you must fit into this. Because you are the masses. And anyone that stands out and says, no, that's not for me, is considered weird
Yeah.
or stupid or rebellious or anarchic. And yet we're all such unique beings, and the consciousness, the universe doesn't want us to be all the same. It wants us to realize this creative potential that exists within all of us. And the exciting thing about that whole self-discovery and self-mastery process is discovering how, what you can do, is removing those limitations and discovering your own potential, and then pushing those boundaries that have been conditioned upon us, really, in this environment. And it just opens up a whole new world of possibility, I think.
Yes, and you must probably you recognize this as well in your clients. If you ask your clients what their top value is, most people will say, "I want to be free."
Yeah,
Most people say, "I
always,
want to be
always.
free."
Yeah,
And people have a tendency to also say, "Oh, I feel so different to other people," and rightfully so, because they are meant to be different. We are all meant to be different, just like you said. So it's interesting, and that's why I have feel this turning of the ages that we are
yeah,
in right now. You really start to see that we're coming into this new age, new era of really individualizing, in the sense that I have to be my authentic self, you have to be your authentic self, or at least making that move towards being your authentic self. And that makes and that's going to make huge difference and impact in the world and what you see right now, even in the children. Because when this human design came to us, the founder actually said it's for the children, it's for the children, because he felt like if children would know about their design, they would be prevented having to be pushed into a too small of a tunnel that is not them. And so he always said it's for the children, it's for the children. And of course, you and I mostly work with adults, and I think that is great, because if we can bring the tools that we have to people, they can also help our children
Yeah,
to step out of this paradigm of this is how you're supposed to be, this is the schooling system. And you
yeah,
see this rebellion coming up all over the world,
yeah,
where new schools and even the children, they are just wired differently,
yeah,
and more aware of them being different. I think you and I grew up in a time where we were just like surrendering to the
yeah,
program, in a sense,
yeah, yeah.
the
No,
programming.
it was very much like a, you're a square block in a round hole, and you have to make it work no matter what.
Yeah.
You have to. But now I think in the world we're at a place where there's more questioning of everything. I mean, it's going from one extreme to the other quite often at the moment in the world, but what's good about it is that more people are questioning, more people are saying, well, actually, maybe that doesn't work, maybe that doesn't serve me, maybe we do need to think about a new way of being and a new way of doing there. So we are going through this huge transformation process in the world. And you talking about human design being for the children, we are all children of God,
Yeah.
source energy, whatever you want to call it. And we also all have that inner child, and those inner child insecurities, those inner child patterns and behaviors that we are healing, exploring, bringing into our consciousness, integrating. So yeah, it is about creating that new world for the future, but yeah, it is a gradual process of healing that inner child within each of us, I think, as well,
Absolutely.
to create that, and then that gets passed down through generations
Yeah.
as well. Now, human design is I mean, I think it's absolutely brilliant, having got to know it a bit more. But there's also this other process of gene keys, which has sort of come out of human design in a way, isn't it? How do they differ?
Yeah, well, to me, I can only speak of my experience with both human design and the gene keys. So and the gene keys actually, to me, I can again, this is my experience with the gene keys. The founder of the gene keys, Richard Rudd, actually studied with the founder of human design, and out of that, from him came a whole new layer and a whole new perspective on the human experience. So it's based upon the human design system, but to me, it kind of addresses more the philosophical and the poetic and the magical layers within us, where human design is super practical. They call it the mechanics of who you are, and that is basically really what it is: the nuts and the bolts, and how do
Yeah,
they work, and how do they work together. And the gene keys is more of a contemplation
yeah,
tool that actually kind of invokes a certain state in you. And if you can sit with them, it kind of opens new doors within you. But to me, it's just like different layers that they touch upon. And but I love both. I love human design for its practicality. It's
precision as well, isn't it? Human design is really precise.
it is, it is. Yeah.
And I think you've hit the nail on the head there with gene keys. It's kind of softer, but it is much more philosophical and, as you say, more contemplative. And interestingly, I mean, having done a little bit of both, for me, I found it easier to understand the way I work with my brain at the moment with human design than I did with gene keys. But there's a place for both because I love both.
Absolutely. I do too. I do
Yeah,
too. And there is, and I'm not sure if this is an English expression. We say there's not only one way to Rome. So of course there is all kinds of ways. And I think in this time it's especially important to have tools available that can help you on your path. And one person will feel more appealed to gene keys, and the other person will feel more appealed to human design. And so and they both have their place, as does your all your tooling that you do offer. So it's just this path of self-discovery, and we all kind of resonate with a specific way to explore ourselves. And of course, as we say in NLP, the map is not the territory. So even all these systems are invoking all kinds of questions. Human design is really, it's always been posed as an experiment. You know, this is not like truth, you have to believe in it. No, it's experiment for yourself. How does this work for you? How does this show up in your life? What's true and what's not true for you? And that is what I love about it. So it's not like a, you know, this is who you are, deal with it. It's an experiment that you have to find out for yourself what's true and what's not. And more often than not, I see the things that in my case I didn't recognize, or my clients didn't recognize. They kind of like later that it hits them like, oh,
Yeah,
this
and it
was actually
really
really
does.
true. Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. But do you know that's what I love about this, because it's the same with all healing mechanisms that we have as well. You know, there is no one mechanism that is, you know, the ring to rule them all. You know, quoting a bit of a Lord of the Rings fan here. You know, there is no one ring to rule them all. There is that we dip in and out of different healing processes and different mechanisms
Yeah.
to help us along that journey of self-mastery and self-discovery. So I think, you know, sometimes it is more appropriate to focus on the human design, and then other times as we're evolving, we go dip into the gene keys and then maybe come back to the human design. And in the same way as we might do EFT tapping, it works on certain issues, and then other times we want to go more in depth on something else. And then at other times we want to use another healing mechanism to get something else from a different angle. It's always, for me, a combination of tools that is right for that moment in time, right for that, yes, for that moment in time when you're exploring a particular avenue
Yeah.
within you. It's always a combination, never just one thing, you know, there. And I think that's the beauty with your background as well, because you've trained in a lot of things, you've used a lot of information, and what you do isn't just I'm just human design. You're bringing in your knowledge. Now I know that you're very, very intuitive as well. You know, I've had many discussions about that, and you bring in the knowledge from all the other modalities that you've trained in. You know, you've studied, you've experienced. You're very experienced with clients. You're very intuitive with your channeling. You're a superb astrologer, evolutionary astrologer. I know you've taught that as well. You know, you bring in all these disciplines into your work and work intuitively with that as well. And it's just phenomenal. I think the information that you bring to someone like me who's you know coming to you for, you know, why is this happening, where am I going, you know, I mean, what is it best used for, human design and what you do, where, how is it best used? Is it best used for a roadmap? Is it best used to discover what you're not, or what actually or to uncover your potential, or to identify problem areas? I mean, what is the best use for it?
Yeah. Well, and thank you for those words. And I just like yourself consider myself a not so much a coach, or who knows how things work, but more a guide. You know, embarking on a journey with our clients. You know, discovering themselves using all these different modalities. And as to what is human design best for, actually all of the above. So everything you mentioned, and for me, that's also again, the art of differentiation. And that is, I do not have a one size fits all offering that I offer to people. I always talk to my clients in advance to get to know them and to see, okay, what is at this moment the most resonant for them to work with. And sometimes that is focusing on shadows and distractions. For another client, it's more, oh, I really want to uncover more of my potential. I tend to attract people that already are quite impactful in their work or in their business, but just want to uncover more and have some insecurities, you
Yeah.
know, especially people who have done a lot on this path tend to you know, where do you go, huh? When you've done
Yeah.
so much, where do you go? So and systems like this, like human design, can really help you to be coachable again and to kind of let the information flow over you. And I also work with, for instance, entrepreneurs to really look at their unique value proposition, which is very tangible and practical, but it is about how can they be truly who they are, and actually be successful and prosperous by being themselves. And that, of course, is again, that's to me the most important part. And which angle we take, that depends totally on the client and on where a person is on his or her path, and what is most predominant in how to approach this. So it can be taken from all of these angles. And of course, my own personal my personal kind of favorite approach is to actually do a long-term program where we really unravel all the different parts of design. And actually time is also an intervention, and that, you know, you're going through the motions, and through your life you can really see, okay, how does it show up in my life? And so that works really, really well. And then you can uncover layer after layer after layer of design, and that goes really deep. It goes even into how do you feed your brain? How do you look? Your view at the world, literally, from the eye. So it goes very, very, very deep. But even the top layer is actually well, actually, the top layer is the most interesting, but you only get it once you start diving deeper.
Yeah.
Human design shows you a way to experiment with how to make decisions about what is correct for you. So even choosing for another healing mechanism, you can use your human design decision making strategy to feel, is this the right choice for me now? And decisions are never made from the head, or they shouldn't be made from the head, these kind of choices. So and that's a very practical way on how to work with human design. And that's what you see all over right now in the world. Many people work with human design. It comes to that strategy and authority, as the words are, but it is a decision making strategy. So yeah.
You answered the question I was going to ask you then. It was, how deep does it go? Because I know with my chart that you looked at, and we haven't got as deep, I know, as we you can get with human
Mhm.
designers yet. But some of the things that you uncovered for me, it was like, oh, it was jaw dropping.
Yeah.
And again, tick box answered these questions that I had about myself. But also that I found that I was doing my job, that I'm doing, is exactly what is in my blueprint.
Yeah. Isn't
Exactly.
that just like a big breath of, you know, a sigh of relief, you know? And which is weird, because of course you love your work, you love what you do, so that would be a signpost that you're on the right track. But
Yeah.
we still need sometimes this permission, or this confirmation
Yeah.
that we're doing the right things. And sometimes it can just be tweaks, and sometimes, and that was, thank God, not the case in your case, but sometimes it's quite confrontational, to actually see, oh, okay, so this is why I struggle so much. This is why I get exhausted all the time, because some parts, I think this is who I am and who I'm supposed to be, and actually you're not. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
fascinating.
It's enlightening. It is fascinating. It's enlightening. And I know when when you said this is exactly what is in your blueprint, and I thought, you couldn't make it up. I mean, it was almost word for word what I'm actually doing now, as a role. And I think of my journey from, my very first full-time job. I worked in a bank. I was a bank clerk, and my very first full-time job, and then the journey that I've taken over the years eventually, took me to doing what is in my blueprint, which is absolutely fascinating. So you get the reassurance. I got a lot of reassurance from that, oh, thank God I am doing what I'm meant to be doing. And I got a lot of answers from it.
Yeah,
Why?
Yes,
why
and
things were happening the way they were happening for me. No, it's fine. No, please continue.
I'm too psyched up about this. But yes, but the whole thing is you being a bank clerk and doing all kinds of things, and that is the beauty of it, because there should be, I hope, and I always try to convey this message to people, there is no regrets, or there is no, oh, I should have, because actually the road, the path that you've taken with all the maybe not so effective sideways, actually you gained a lot of wisdom, and this is the wisdom that you are now sharing with your clients. So it is in a sense, where you, how we call it sometimes, digging for the gold, and that is the things that were struggles and challenges for you that actually makes you a far better healer and guide today, because of all the things that you went through, and all the things that, because that is actually what attracts people to you, because they have similar struggles and you've already gone through them. So there is never any, I hope always people never regret the roads that they've taken in their lives, because that is really part of the wisdom.
Yeah.
And if you can see that, and if you can see, oh, this is wisdom, so this is consistent in me, it was always there, and this is where I gained wisdom, and these are all the struggles and the challenges, and actually the combination of the two makes that's the gold. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, I totally agree. And there's no right or wrong in life. It is all just about experience at the end of the day and that self-discovery. Do you have any diagrams you can show us, Patty?
Yes, I can, if you wish. That is always that is always something that is a bit, if we start sharing things, then it actually it opens up a lot of questions for people probably. So what you see here is actually your design.
Yeah,
I'm just going to move you a bit. And again, this talk, I think there's not the purpose to really go in all the depths of it, but just looking at a graphical kind of overview of it's a map. It really is a map. It's a map
mm,
to your true self.
yeah,
And all the people watching this, seeing this graph, will already recognize some pieces. And if you look at this, so it is of course depicted the human being, and here you see all these shapes, and these are actually what we call the centers in human design. And if you are working or familiar with chakras, you can already see the chakra system kind of reflected here. There is a lot going on in this chart, of course, and you have the black side and the red side, and everything that's black in your design. So here you see a little blackness, and here you see black and red. The black is your personality, as it says here, and the red is your design. And basically, this is a conscious, who you think you are, and this is your nature that actually surprises you, because that is unconscious, and it becomes more conscious because, of course, we are living, going through life. And just as a small example of one of the things that is really very the first thing that I see if I look at your chart is that many of these centers are actually having a color, and there's only one center that does not. So just to compare with my design, which is next to here, you see many of these shapes are actually white in my design, and you have only one. So this means that this center, which actually represents it's called the spleen center, but it also it is a survival instinct kind of center, and
yeah,
this is open. It's fully open for you. This So all your consistent strengths are in the colored in parts of your design, but there's one part that's fully open, and this is where you have taken a lot of wisdom in.
yeah,
And This center actually represents quite a it represents fears. It's fears for survival, fear
Yeah.
for the future, for the past, for authority, and that is what is so interesting because you have gained so much experience over your
Mm.
life. What it means to be fearful, and nowadays this is that wisdom, that gold. This is where you help people with to basically face their fears, confront their fears, clear their fears.
Yeah.
So, and you do that with all the so once people come in, come to you, you have all this consistent strengths and qualities to offer them to help them going through that. So that's just like just a very peeling of a little part of this of your design, but that is something that is quite yeah, that's quite a first focus for me when I saw your design first time. Yeah.
I mean, what blew me away with it is the accuracy.
Mm.
I mean, you do need your time of birth, don't you, to get an
Yes.
accurate.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's date and time of birth to make
Yeah.
it really unique and to get an accurate representation. But when I mean, that's very much just a very light overview, and we can do another discussion another time to go into more depth if that's what people want out there. But um, the accuracy of the human design as we went through the layers of it as to the categories,
Yeah.
the generators and the I can't remember
Yeah.
all of them, but
Yeah, all the different types.
all the
Yes.
different types and then the connections and what it means. I mean, it was just so accurate. And I know it's not, meant to be this is the only way and this is it as we just discussed, but the precision
Yeah.
of it absolutely blew me away.
Yeah.
It was so accurate and it explained so much about my journey here, in this lifetime, and it answered so many questions, but also gave me so much more confidence in doing what I do and the way forward for me, and um, what I what I'm supposed to be doing is exactly what I'm doing,
Exactly.
almost word for word, and in removing and transforming those fears from
Yeah.
people, and all the experience that I'd had to date was leading up to the
Absolutely.
role that I now occupy and serve within the world, which is phenomenal for me. Yeah. So have you noticed in the clients that you've worked with human design, have you noticed any changes in them from when you first started working with them to, as they've evolved with
Yeah.
human design?
Yes, absolutely. And it is mind blowing to see. And even in my own life, still, I feel an eternal student to all the knowledge that is out there. Because if I feel like I know everything, then I should probably stop without what I'm doing. So it's still also discovering for myself. But I see it in my client on a daily basis. And like I said before, the first kind of symptom that you see is that people calm down. They
Yeah.
calm down, they relax into being themselves, and yes, people make changes in their lives to make it more th- really making choices, for instance, in the way they do their business or the way they live, and I see huge transformations, and it's of course I feel like almost yeah, maybe an antenna where the knowledge is kind of channeled through, but it continues to work in people. It kind of opens up all kinds of doors and all kinds of ways to yeah, basically improve your life, and I see that happening on a daily basis, which is absolutely great, and the feeling of prosperity just increases with people, and I think that is what we need, huh? People need to calm down, need to relax into being themselves so they can make the decisions which are right for them, correct for them, And if you can strip away the things that are not correct for you, the whole game changes. And that is what I can witness on a daily basis, which I love my work, why I'm
Yeah,
very.
no, I know you do, and you're passionate about it, which is wonderful. And it is very much about. I mean, my work is about stripping away my one-to-one work online as well as the SRT stuff that I do. It is about stripping away what's already abundant within us,
Mhm.
and it is stripping away the conditioning, the patterns, the behaviors, the modus operandi, and allowing that full potential within our very beings to come to the surface without limitation. And you know, it's, for me, human design is this wonderful precision transformative tool to use on our journey of self-discovery, and on moving forward and unleashing the potential that is within us. um, as one of the most fantastic tools out there. I would imagine it would also be a wonderful tool to use in businesses if entire teams, had their human design done. And I guess people would discover a lot about their strengths within the teams, and why they are responding the way they are, and how to best get
Yeah,
the
yeah.
potential out of them.
Absolutely. And it's it's not only, what are my strengths within the team, it even goes so much deeper, because what you can actually uncover is how people are reacting to each other and why. So there is this whole dynamic going on within teams. And when people come together, there is automatic conditioning taking place. Just as I showed you, you have this one open center, which means that if you are in the vicinity of somebody who has that colored in, you're automatically being impacted by the energy of that person. And to really unravel how that conditioning process how that impact works, then you can actually choose to step away from everything that is detrimental to you. So I've worked with many teams in my life with all kinds of tooling, but with this tooling, it's like something magical and very special happens, because you can look at teams and people, how they behave within those teams, in such, without having to go into the content of whatever they are working on, is really how that works energetically and mechanically, and how to basically get the best out of yourself and the team. And that is just fascinating to watch. So yeah, that is something that I love doing as well. Yeah.
But it almost, for me, something like that human design tool, it just takes coaching to a whole different level, because it's not the thing about coaching. These are all labels: coaching, mentoring, all these things, and it's very difficult. The more we unfold our abilities, our potential, should we say, the more we unfold in our self-development, self-potential, the less we can label ourselves in a category. We're becoming more and more unique consciousness enablers,
Mhm.
if you like, that in our own ways. And it takes, something like this tool. It just takes everything to a whole different level of awareness for people. So whereas we've had coaches and mentors and everything else in the past, in companies, for example, with this tool, you can go in and explore at an even deeper level than ever before, and the dynamics
Yeah.
as well
Yeah.
with other people. It is so interesting, even in your personal life, even on a one-to-one basis, when you discover your open centers and your closed centers, and you discover your partner's open and closed centers. It just answers so many questions in relationships as well, doesn't it?
Yes.
What
Yes.
we absorb and why we react, and how we can mitigate certain
Yes. Yes.
patterns.
Yeah, and it gives a lot of input for some interesting conversations with your partner, if you
It
if you
does.
do this work. And in my case, it really has, and it's given us so much more depth and insight on the dynamics of our relationship, that it actually strengthened our relationship a lot, like
Yeah.
really a lot.
Yeah.
And we discovered a whole new level, which wasn't always, it was quite challenging, because you have to go into, the shadows and the distractions, and really come to terms with, oh, okay, this is what I've done, or this is my tendency. And but it's taken our relationship to a whole next level. So yeah, there's the, I of course I am super enthusiastic. I love this way of looking at life, and experimenting with it, and continuing to experiment with it, and looking at new ways. And yeah, I wish this for everybody. And what I see right now in the collective is that more and more people are starting to become familiar with human design, which really fills my heart, because that means that people are open
Yeah.
for new ways at
Yeah.
looking for new ways of looking at themselves. So
Yeah. I totally agree. So, Patty, how can people get in touch with you?
oh yeah, well, the easiest way is through my website, pettypost.com. And so there's a lot on there, and that's the easiest way to come to me. And there's also my other ways of contacting me. And if people want to are curious about their own body graph that I just briefly showed during our conversation, they can get free human design body graph charts all over the internet. And one of the places that you can go is jovianarchive.com or mybodygraph.com. And then you can, for free, just generate your own chart, and have a first look at it. And yeah, and there's all kinds of information on the internet. And if you really feel diving deep, oh, definitely get in touch, and I'm happy to go on a journey with you.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. So I'll put all the details and links in the details bit on YouTube there for people to contact Patty. If you're really interested in really uncovering your potential long term, I cannot recommend Patty enough. So if you're serious about it and having a program with Patty, honestly, you won't regret it. It's so enlightening and empowering. Patty Post, human
Mhm.
design extraordinaire. Um, Thank you so much for your time today and for joining us and enlightening us all with your fabulous, fabulous presence and work.
It was my pleasure to be with you, and thank you, dear Caroline. And yeah, to be continued.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.